Here we go with this guy, Cooper Mays, on the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning. And I tell you what, Coop, I'm gonna go off script, man. I'm gonna go wild. I ask you about this offense each and every week and how great you guys are doing, but let's shine the light on the defensive players, your defensive counterparts. Wow, wow, wow. There have been a couple times, Pitt, LSU, where they've shut people down, but this was a guy who's projected to be a first round pick through for 98 yards, interceptions, sacks. That defense was absolutely fantastic. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it starts out with how they played the run. I think it was pretty expected that they were going to come in and try to limit our possessions and limit the times that we had the ball because they know we were going to be able to score. So that really starts out with being able to run the ball, and they weren't able to do that. So, anytime you go in and your game plan gets kind of stumped, you don't really know how to react. He had to lean on the throw a little bit more, and then, our DBs and our coverage all around kind of took a step forward last night. I think Danico Slaughter had a really good game. Um, Jawan got the interception. Juju, he got the interception, and that was pretty big moments there that kind of shut the game out.
No, it did. And yeah, I wonder how much better this defense is from scrimmage number one in August to where they are now. How much have they improved, do you think?
I think they've improved a lot. I think the biggest thing for them is they're playing extremely aggressive and vertically, especially on the D line. So it all stems. Everybody knows in the SEC the game is won in the trenches. So if you got the line of scrimmage moving backward in any game, you got a really good chance of winning.
Yep, and that was definitely the effect there. They run a lot of different looks. It's not anywhere close to like a straight up look. They run stunts, twists, blitzes, the whole 9 yards. I mean, I've just been blown away by the defensive package this whole year. Do you see much of that in practice, or how much do you guys go ones against ones?
We'll see a little bit of it, mainly on like third down days when everybody's working on their third and long. So that's probably we only get a couple plays though that you probably won't find many people going ones versus ones much at this point in the season anymore. In
No, you're
college.
right. No, you're right. And as far as this defense, I mean, as they continue to improve, and I don't know they need to improve anymore, but they're pretty darn good right now. How confident is that in just moving forward and thinking to yourself, hey, if the offense does have a bad day, which it may actually happen, we haven't seen it yet, but if it does actually happen, knowing that they've kind of got your back.
Right. Gives everybody confidence. We're playing on you know high levels across the board. Special teams, offense, and defense. So anytime you've got all three phases of the game working together and playing at a high level, it's gonna open up a lot of doors for you as far as you got a little bit of leeway. When the offense does a little bit worse, then defense can step up. And then, if you look at like games like LSU, our special teams made a huge difference in the game, especially early, getting the momentum our way. So anytime you got teams, on that have three really good phases, it fixes a lot of your mess ups for sure.
Yep. Let's flip to your side. Please like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. We greatly appreciate that, so we can bring you more Tennessee and SEC coverage. It's the Vol Report with Cooper Mays, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. They're phenomenal. It's about integrity. 50 years in business there, and they're going to take care of you. You guys have become over the past couple of weeks a known commodity of being a very good offensive line. I'm not talking a slightly above average offensive line. Um, your confidence as a group must be sky high because the pushes you guys are getting, I think it's obvious on some of those Princeton Fant runs and short yardage. I mean, you guys getting a push and holes. How good do you guys feel about the offensive line right now?
I feel great about it. I mean, if you look at kind of just the strides we've made in the last few years, especially probably since when I first got here, um, it's kind of night and day. I think we're playing at a pretty high level and across the board, and we've got a lot of good guys, and I think we play the right way. We play aggressive, and we play smart. So
You have obviously ties to Georgia. Your brother went there before he transferred back to Tennessee. Does that play into your family's mindset at all this week?
I don't know what I don't know what the fam's thinking, but it doesn't really matter to me. I don't really get into stuff like that. I just kind of focus on my job. That's all I can do.
You think you'll hear from Cade this week? Anything at all? Or I'm sure I'm sure you'll hear from your dad, right?
Yeah, probably not, honestly. Like, not
Good.
nothing really different, though. I don't know. I mean, we don't really talk about stuff like probably the normal people would think we would.
Yeah, I think people probably don't understand how busy you are at this time of year. So we certainly appreciate you taking the time with us. Hit like, subscribe, and share. We greatly appreciate that. What do you remember about the Georgia game last year? That was a team that was stockpiled with defensive talent.
They, yeah, they were loaded last year for sure. I mean, if you look at their front seven for sure, they had probably I think 4 first rounders, in that front seven, and then, you got probably 2 more coming up this year. And they were there last year, of course. All 3 linebackers. They usually had 2 linebackers in the game, but they had a third one that would rotate in. I mean, they're all in the NFL right now. Probably picked in the first 2 or 3 rounds. They were a bunch of freaks. Honestly, they're probably the best defense I've ever played. I thought I had a really good game though. I played really solid that game. It was probably one of my better games of the season last year, so it was nice.
How did you think the offensive line played against a group like that as well?
We played really well. I think we handled their blitz packages as well as anybody did the whole season. I don't think they made it to the quarterback very much. It's hard with the amount of people and the stunts that they bring to protect the quarterback, but I think we sorted it out as well as anybody did. If you even look at the Joe Moore Award winners last year, I think it was Michigan, right? Am I correct there?
I'd have to look, but yeah, I think that's right.
Pretty sure it was Michigan last year. And if you watch the Michigan game, their O line didn't play nearly as well as ours did that year.
No, true. If I would have told you that Hendon Hooker in the beginning of August, and I know you have high goals, okay, but if I told you in the beginning of August that Hendon Hooker would be not just a Heisman Trophy candidate, but if you haven't seen, he is now the favorite by various odd makers to win the trophy, what would you have said?
I wouldn't be too surprised. Obviously it's probably going to be a little bit of a surprise anytime that somebody comes and you know is running for the Heisman. But if you look at his stats from last year, he took over and threw like maybe 1 or 2 interceptions the whole year and threw for a heck of a lot of touchdowns. I mean, the stats were always there. Just people didn't really respect us as a team. I don't think our record really reflected a Heisman winning or a Heisman, runner. So this year, I mean, you can't help but you got to throw us in the mix and put him in there because he's leading us. I think he's definitely should be the favorite.
Yeah, well, he is. The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Please like, subscribe, and share. And he's just been so, at least from the outside looking in, so even keel. There are a lot of great things to say about him, but having a quarterback that's even keel that doesn't get too high, too low, how important is that?
It's the biggest thing. They're the person that everybody looks to, whether you like it or not. Quarterbacks always should be your leader of the team, and a guy like Hendon, he's we've got highs and lows going throughout the game and throughout the season, but the best thing you can do is if you can just keep it steady and consistent, and that's one thing that Hendon is he's consistent and he's gonna give you the same version of himself every day.
So Jacob was telling me that now that Jalen Hyde has absolutely blown up the internet and has Chad Ochocinco as a fan, LeBron James, I think, mentioned something. You guys kind of give him a hard time about being a superstar already. How does he take that?
Shoot, I'm sure he's fine. I think he's doing pretty well with himself. I don't think he's worried about what anybody's saying at this point. Or I wouldn't at least, but I don't think I haven't given him a hard time about anything. I love Jalen. He's a really good dude.
Has he changed at all in this run of success?
I think he's changed, but I think it's not in the way that people think. I think it's more he's changed as a person, and I think you can kind of see the development showing on the field. I think the change happened to him as a person before the success, and that's what led to the success.
Gotcha. Okay, so having Cedric Tillman back, you dealt with injuries last year, and you don't get really 100% healthy when you get hurt in the year, and everybody's banged up this type of year. But you guys are pretty healthy, and now have Tillman back. How exciting is it to know that you don't have to worry about injuries or that sort of factor at this point in the year?
It's really if you can have a football team that's healthy going into week 9 or whatever we're at this point, it's huge. I think this is probably the felt since my freshman year, honestly, and I wasn't hardly even playing that much my freshman year. I played a couple snaps a game, so I'm feeling really good about it. I'm sure everybody else that is feeling that with it too.
I gotta ask you each and every week how you handle the hype. Okay, and I know that you keep yourself away from it, and you tell me that every week. But still, the stakes just keep getting higher and higher and higher. So, how do you manage to talk to other teammates, be a mentor, and say you can't listen to what the ESPNs of the world are saying? You've got to just focus on Georgia.
I haven't even really had to tell anybody to focus in or lock in. I don't think we're really focused on what people normally what comes with success. I just don't get tied into all that stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm not on Twitter. I'm not doing whatever. Like I'm obviously on those things, but my timeline doesn't really reflect like Tennessee football 24/7. So I I kind of try to just stay away from looking at the rankings. I don't even know what we're ranked at this point. Like I haven't known what we were ranked the whole year. I couldn't tell you.
Well,
I knew after we beat another guy, but other than that, I had no clue where we were ranked.
at the time of this recording, which it could go up, you're ranked number 3. So we'll see if that goes up. The first college football playoff comes out Tuesday. Now basketball is funny because they have the NCAA tournament selection show, and they used to have all the players available to the media, and it was a big celebration. And hey, if you made the tournament, that was great. And where you seated and all that stuff. How does this team handle the first college football playoff? Do you try to just ignore it? Because honestly, at this point, they're made for TV events to get ratings. We don't know how it's going to end up. The first one really doesn't matter.
Right. I think you kind of just got to take a mentality like you've had all year, and you got to just realize that it's just another game, and you can't really focus on the big scheme or the big picture. You just got to go in there every week and figure out how you can do it best, and you got to lock in on it. That's it.
How much have you seen Georgia this year? Sometimes I catch you before film study, sometimes after.
I watched them versus Auburn while I was in the only time I've really been watching them is probably when I'm in the hotel. On a bye week, they played Mizzou. I think it got a little bit interesting. I tuned in like a little bit after the half, but I haven't really sat down and watched them yet. But we'll watch a big dose this week.
Do you have an impression of them just in the brief moments that you've seen them?
It's Georgia, and it's going to be a really physical front seven with a lot of athletes that can run sideline to sideline, and they're going to be well disciplined and well coached. So it's a challenge for us as it always will be with Georgia, I'm sure.
What about getting back on the road? I would say that you guys have played some of your best ball on the road. Well, you played your best ball each and every week, pretty much. There hasn't been a down game this season, but what do you think of this? I mean, it's all worked out. What do you think of playing on the road? What challenges are there? I know some players that actually enjoy playing on the road more. What do you think?
I don't like playing on the road for the simple fact that you have to fly home after or drive home after. I like being able to walk and then get back to my apartment. But other than that, it's just a different field to play on to me. We play so fast, like I said. I think it kind of blows out the crowd where you can't really let it affect you as much because you're going so fast that the crowd doesn't have that intense like build up to third down or whatever, build up to the second and long. So we kind of keep the crowd out of it a little bit, so it doesn't really affect us as much. But it'll be a good environment, I'm sure.
It is a 3:30 game instead of being a night game, and you guys practice in the morning. How grateful are you that it's not an evening game that you guys have to wait around in the hotel all day? That always to me seemed like pure torture.
I don't like sitting around in the hotel. It's not my gig. I in the day, honestly, when we played at like 11 a.m. in LSU, that was the cream of the crop. I call it. It was my favorite. I can't stand waiting around in the hotel all day just to play football. I'd rather just throw the ball down on the field at 11 a.m. like just like it was and roll out.
The Vol Report with Cooper Mays brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Again, cityheatandair.com. They're not going to stop by and say, hey, we're going to do this $29 service and then charge you for a $4,000 unit. No, they're about integrity. That's why they've been there for 50 years. Over the past month or so, or if you want to go the entire season, what offensive lineman has graded out the highest? And it might be you, and if so, you can say so. And I don't want to put pressure on you because you played exceptionally well. But some people don't see the trenches as much as fans as you do as players. Who are some of the guys that have graded out the highest recently?
I really don't know. They don't post our grades up like side by side. They just give you like a sheet of all the grades, and it's like plus and minus system. So out of 78, I have like 7 minuses. So you just do the dividing by yourself. I don't ever go in and calculate anybody else's, but I've graded out pretty well this year.
What game did you grade out the best this season?
I think I graded out at I think I graded versus Florida. I think maybe I think
Okay.
that was probably one of my highest grades. No, I think I graded out 95 versus who was that? Ball State. Yeah, but that
Yes.
I don't really count that. But probably Florida. That was probably one of my best games.
So, were there any games that you didn't grade out as highly as you wanted to? You want to be 100 every time, but are there any grades that you look back and you're like, man, I may have not had my best day that day? Because on the outside, it looks like you're playing incredibly well each and every week.
I think I've graded above 85 this whole season. I think I think I've stayed above 80 at least. I'm pretty sure 85. So I haven't really had that bad of a game yet. Hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully keep it
Yeah,
consistent.
I think you're good. Jay, yeah, I think you're doing all right. I think things are working out. Jacob had said that uh, the that Georgia's defense is kind of from that mold, and we were running out of time, so I didn't really have a chance to follow up with it. But he said kind of that Georgia, Alabama, Florida mold, and I think what he meant by that, from a schematic standpoint, is they've got athletes that they depend on. Do you think that's about what he meant? Is that they're going to let their guys try to win one-on-one battles?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. They're I mean, we talked about it earlier in the season. There was going to be people that probably dropped 8 against us and switched up their defense a little guys that didn't. The probably the Florida Georgias and Alabamas, they're going to play their defense and say, we think we got better players than you, and we're gonna show it. So they've got great athletes that can play sideline to sideline, and they're fast and big and physical. So why not play your brand of defense? It's worked all season. So they're gonna throw their best leg out there, and they're gonna see how it goes.
Yep. You actually when we look at this game, the winner, according to whatever model that ESPN uses, has a 79% chance of making the college football playoff. What do you think of that number?
I'd say it. That's that's probably what I'd guess too. I'd probably say around 80%. You know, 80.
But it's
I'd probably get it right.
But it's pretty cool to be in that position, right?
I don't really focus on it, but I don't really know. It's been so weird to me this year because we got had such like astronomical success, but I don't really get like I don't know. I don't get roped into it very much.
All right. Well, I won't mention it because I don't want to mess up the mojo. But yes, phenomenal success is what you guys are having. You worked hard and you deserve it. So, kudos to you, not only on the win against Kentucky, but just kind of where you guys are at this point because you believed when a lot of people didn't beforehand. I think a lot of people thought hey, those guys can win 8 or 9. They'll be pretty good. I don't think anybody thought 10 or 11. So kudos to you. We'll visit with you next week and we'll talk about the fact that you're a 79% chance of making the college football playoff when it's an actual fact. How's that?
Let's do it.
He's Cooper Mace. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Please like, subscribe, and share for more weekly visits with Cooper and Jacob Warren. We love it. It's good times. Check out our YouTube page, offthehooksports.com. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.